Imagine the most disturbing and chilling scares you've ever experienced. Now, multiply that by 10. Welcome to a world where true horror stories become a reality, where your worst nightmares come to life. You are about to enter a realm of true crime, a realm where all that is scary becomes true. This is Scarier Things, a place where true scary stories unfold right before your eyes. Today, we bring you 3 true and disturbing tales that will make your blood run cold. Our first story is a true stalker tale that will make you rethink online dating. Our second story is a chilling account of a casual encounter that turns into a night of horror. And our final story is a disturbing tale of an unexpected visitor in the dead of winter. So buckle up, keep your dash cam running, and prepare for some scary true stories that will keep you up at night. Remember, these are not just stories. They are real, they are true, and they are disturbing. So let's dive into the chilling scares of the true horror stories that await you. Story 1. In the disturbing world of true crime, a true horror story unfolded. At the age of 21, after parting ways with my first love, I found myself alone for the first time in years. This was a chilling scare for me, but after a year of solitude, I decided to dive back into the dating pool. I turned to the modern solution, dating apps. Among the many I downloaded, OkCupid became my go-to. It was here that I stumbled upon Brenda, a stunning light-skinned black girl with interests that mirrored my own. We hit it off and decided to meet for a meal. As the sun set, I arrived at her place on the west side of town. The dash cam in my car captured the growing darkness. I reached out to Brenda, but her response was delayed. As I sat in my car, waiting for the texting bubble to appear, a sense of unease crept in, like a true stalker in a scary true story. Finally, her message arrived. She apologized and informed me that her overprotective brother would be meeting me outside. Despite my protests, she insisted it was beyond her control. This was turning into one of those true scary stories you read on Reddit, filled with horror stories and chilling scares. In this true horror story, I found myself parked outside a house, waiting for Brenda. The front door creaked open, revealing a towering figure that approached my car. His dark complexion was a stark contrast to Brenda's, making me question their relation. He extended a hand in greeting, introducing himself with a friendly demeanor. His concern was ensuring a trustworthy individual was about to escort his sister, a sentiment that seemed normal enough. He invited me inside to meet Brenda, leading me into the house and closing the door behind us. He instructed me to wait in the living room while he fetched Brenda. As he ascended the stairs, I noticed 2 men seated on the couch, their stares sending chilling scares down my spine, reminiscent of scary true stories you'd find on Reddit. Attempting to break the ice, I greeted them, only to receive a barely perceptible nod in return. The man from upstairs, Will, called down, claiming he was searching for Brenda. This struck me as odd. My gaze shifted to the adjacent dining room, where, to my surprise, another man sat at the table, his stare as unsettling as the others. This was turning into a disturbing tale of true crime, a true stalker scenario straight out of scary stories. In this true horror story, I found myself instinctively retreating, reaching for the doorknob without turning my back to the 3 men. One of them yelled, "Grab him," as they noticed my attempt to escape. In a disturbing turn of events, I flung the door open and sprinted to my car, the men hot on my heels. I managed to get into my car just in time, as they began to kick and hit my windows in a futile attempt to break them. I drove away, leaving them behind on a public residential road. It was a scene straight out of scary true stories you'd find on Reddit. Upon reaching home, I relayed the chilling scares to my parents, who were in disbelief. They urged me to report this true crime to the police, which I did. A neighbor, who had witnessed the group attacking my car, anonymously corroborated my story. The police arrested 3 of the 4 men I had seen in the house, including Will, or whatever his real name was. The fourth man remained unidentified and at large. Despite this true stalker experience, I continued using dating apps, albeit with heightened caution. This was a true scary story that served as a stark reminder of the importance of vigilance. Story 2. In this true horror story, I recount my disturbing encounter with a true stalker named Killy, whom I met on Match.com. After a series of unsuccessful matches and a recent breakup, I was looking for a casual connection. Killy seemed to fit the bill, and we decided to spend an evening at my apartment. The night started off innocuously enough, with us chatting in my room, the TV playing in the background. Despite the awkward silences, I tried to keep the conversation flowing. As the hours passed, I noticed a change in Kylie. She became increasingly emotionless, her gaze distant, and her conversation topics took a dark turn. To my surprise, she thanked me for letting her stay the night. I hadn't realized that my invitation to hang out had been interpreted as an offer to sleep over. I set up a makeshift bed for her on the floor, and she promptly settled down to sleep. The silence that followed was palpable, and I soon fell asleep. I woke up in the middle of the night to find Kelly missing from her spot on the floor. A noise from downstairs suggested she might be there. Venturing downstairs, I found her sitting in the kitchen, facing the wall, muttering to herself. This chilling scare froze me in my tracks. When I called out her name, she turned to look at me briefly before returning her gaze to the wall. In a panic, I retreated to my room and called my dad, explaining the true horror story unfolding in my apartment. He advised me to call 911 if Killy seemed to be having an episode. As I was on the phone, I noticed Killy standing by my bedroom door. The sight of her silhouette charging at me, screaming, is a true crime scene etched in my memory. She attempted to choke me, but I managed to overpower her and hold her down. I screamed for my dad to call the cops, and by the time they arrived, I had managed to drag Killy downstairs. The cops took her away, marking the end of this scary true story that still sends shivers down my spine. Story 3. It's a well-known fact that meeting strangers from online platforms should always be done in a public and safe environment. As a lifelong bachelor, I've spent a considerable amount of time on dating apps like Tinder and others. I've encountered my fair share of odd individuals, but nothing could have prepared me for the events of February 2014. During the chilly winter months, these apps become particularly handy for those seeking casual companionship. I was actively chatting with several girls at any given time, knowing that most conversations would fizzle out. However, one conversation with a girl named Maria kept progressing. Every time I received a notification from Maria, a wave of excitement washed over me. One evening, I proposed that we meet up. She agreed and asked for my address, which I provided without a second thought. She asked for my number to text, but she didn't respond after that. She went offline shortly after, and despite my frequent checks, she remained offline. As the night wore on, it became apparent that our meetup was unlikely. Feeling tired, I decided to call it a night. The next morning, I woke up early to a dark, rainy day. I checked my phone and noticed several notifications from Maria. She had messaged me multiple times throughout the night, stating that she was on her way and that she was watching me. The most unsettling message was her asking how I slept. A sense of dread washed over me. I quickly checked outside my window for any signs of her, then closed the blinds. I messaged her back, asking who she was. Her response sent chills down my spine. Check your closet and find out. I turned to my closet, which I distinctly remembered closing the night before, only to find it slightly ajar. As the door slowly creaked open, revealing the darkness within, I was overcome with fear. I screamed for my dad, forgetting that he was away for the weekend. My older brother, however, came rushing in to see what was wrong. We checked the closet together, but found no signs of anyone having been there. That's when I noticed the cold breeze and realized my mistake. I had forgotten to lock my window the night before. Everything started to make sense. I went to the police station to report the incident, hoping they could track the person using the app messages. However, it wasn't as straightforward as I had hoped. I would need a court order for the app to release the user's information. Despite the terrifying ordeal, I decided not to pursue it further. Thankfully, after a week of fear and restless nights, nothing else happened, and I was able to move on with my life.